What is up, players? It's Warboss Tay up in this mug doing a secondary objective video for week 1. If you could put your consciousness into an avatar of any game universe, what would it be? One of the reasons why I really enjoy hobbying now, painting and wargaming, is because I fell in love with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 3rd edition had all these books and tokens and counters, and look at those dice. Every dice you rolled meant something differently, but like the whole rule system, switching from a D100 system to this was a behemoth. I could not wrap my head around it, and I could not get my players interested in it. We just wanted to play a classic. Okay, roll up these D100 for stats for your characters. Okay, let's go on an adventure. Boom, draw the map out on a piece of notepaper and then start fighting. It was just so much more fun to get into the storytelling, and that's what I love about Warhammer as a setting, the old world as a setting. It's great to be to think of yourself as like a foot soldier in the Empire army or a knight of Bretonia, but getting into the city, the lore, the world itself, which has decades of character and history behind it. Every time there's a new edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, they change things, they add things, they take things away. Some of my favorite books to read are the old Warhammer Fantasy First Edition, before they really got into incorporating the miniatures into their role-playing game. And they talked about the colleges of magic and how each one had different characteristics, and the courtly intrigues of all the big cities and all the major players. Some of those source books from first edition were just dense and packed, and I loved it. It was great. It was great fun for a kid out of high school to dive into this fantasy world, because I couldn't get into Dungeons and Dragons too much, AD&D. There were more people that played that. Hardly anybody played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, so I found this core group of friends that we just wanted to have a couple D100s and go on crazy adventures without getting too much into the rules. And this is what I loved about Warhammer. It's what opened me up into the wider war game. So I will always love the old world setting, just as an adventurer trying to make a living going on little adventures and dungeon crawls, and then eventually empire spanning plots with all this intrigue and all these devious machinations. And I just loved it. So that's my pick for my favorite setting that I would love to be in if I could have an avatar take my consciousness into it. Old world, baby. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. All right, thanks for watching, guys. If you check out the Discord, we have so many people who are throwing down in the Summer Painting Challenge. Here you can see some miniatures from Shaky Painter, who jumped in last year. We've got Too Many Sprues, who is building up a force of Space Marines and doing this absolutely amazing paint job. I love this quartered paint job, these quartered paint schemes with the complementary colors tied together with the gold. It's just beautiful. I love it. This paint scheme is one of my favorite that I've seen. And on Space Marines, you don't see that too much anymore, the quartered color scheme, so I love it. Then you got Dave F doing some Heresy miniatures, these Tartaros Termes. Looks great. Those are coming up. And then Lady Razor with, oh, my heart, all these Valhallans. Anytime I see anyone painting up like a bunch of Mordians or Catechins, those old school metal miniatures, man, I love them. That's why I did Vostroyans one year. I was just like, I want to paint all this metal by the end of the month. So this is great. I love it. Can't wait to see it coming up. And then finally, we've got here Hams Fan, who is a new participant in the challenge, doing these old school plastic Chaos Dwarves. I remember having these and just thinking they were so ridiculous with the Games Workshop color scheme, but this more subtle and darker color scheme, it just really works for them. I love the beards. I love the way everything ties together. Even though they look kind of cartoony, it's those old chunky plastic sculpts. I absolutely love them. So congratulations. Good job to everybody taking part. If you're not going to be in the challenge this year, head on over to the Discord anyway. Give them some hit the like buttons and the thumbs ups, and give us some support, because it is a great one this year. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope your day is going well, and it's time for me to clock back in, get off this lunch break, and we will see you in the next video. Latest, players!